The establishing shot is a long shot that has been captured using a deep focus lens. The shot captures a mother knelt down to the bathtub, helping what looks like to be a boy in the bath. The establishing shot uses a low-key lighting setup. However, the bright white colour coming from the bathtub lights up the bathtub in comparison to the other low-key lighting that is surrounding the bathtub. The low-key lighting creates a dark and almost gloomy atmosphere. The long shot displays the mother and the boy, but also displays the door to the bathroom. The way in which the door takes up a third of the screen/lens space makes it appear as though we are looking in as an audience member and almost intruding the family's personal space. The standard room decor of a normal average bathroom represents the family to be a standard normal family. This is further supported by the fact the characters are wearing naturalistic and everyday costumes, and from what we can see, the mother is wearing naturalistic makeup and jewellery. This makes us instantly feel as though the characters live an ordinary life and are carrying out a regular daily routine. However, the low-key lighting gives the impression and makes it feel as though we are being slightly misled by how normal a life the family actually live. Furthermore, the sound that accompanies the establishing shot is of a low pitch and of a loud amplitude. The diegetic sounds of the water tipping into the bath, which are played over the dark and gloomy sound effects that are introduced at the start of the trailer, are unsettling and instantly put you on edge. This gives us more reason to suggest that the family perhaps do not live an ordinary life. The sound effects gradually increase in amplitude and gradually become a lower pitch, making the tension build to a dramatic climax instantly. This then grabs your attention and instantly makes you nervous to find out what will happen. After the establishing shot, the camera cuts to a high-angle mid-shot of the boy in the bath. From the mid-shot we can see that the boy is older than initially anticipated, making us instantly question and think about why a mother is helping an older boy in the bath. The high-angle shot emphasises the fact that the boy is almost incapable of doing things himself, due to the fact the camera looks down on him, making him seem inferior to others. The use of mise-en-scène features such as makeup also helps to create a tense and unsettling atmosphere. The mid-shot reveals to us the fact the boy is cut and deeply wounded on his right shoulder, so much so that it is bleeding. Furthermore, this combined with the lack of facial expressions on the boy's face and the jug of water being held over his head by his mother informs us as an audience member that the boy has probably been through a traumatic experience or has some kind of condition not allowing him to complete everyday tasks for himself. During this shot, the voiceover speaking the lines, "It is not my son," is played. This line is delivered in a sorrowful and upset tone, spoken in a slow pace by the female who is helping the boy. This line is played over the sound effect of the slowly, gradually dripping water. The tone in which the line is delivered is also creates a mysterious and unsettling atmosphere, due to the fact we begin to question who the boy is, what's wrong with him, and why he can't carry out personal activities himself. This is an important close-up due to the fact it reveals one of the main characters to us, and through the use of mise-en-scène and makeup, different elements of his characteristics and personality are revealed to us. In this shot, a naturalistic lighting setup is used. The use of the naturalistic lighting means that as an audience member, we are forced to focus on the zoom lens which is slowly moving the shot closer to the boy's face. The way in which the shot zooms in makes us feel slightly uncomfortable and on edge, due to the fact we have nowhere else to look and are just forced to look at the bags under his eyes and the rashes that are on his face.
It's not my son. It's just a body that I.
After the high-angle mid-shot of the boy lying in the bathtub, the camera cuts to just a mid-shot of the boy lying in the bath. This shot, however, is different from the previous high-angle shot that captures the boy in the bath, due to the fact the mid-shot captures his facial expressions and exposes more of his face due to the camera being level with his face. The mid-shot exposes the fact the boy is in shock, which we can infer from his overly relaxed face that is showing no emotion whatsoever. Furthermore, we can infer that he is in shock due to the fact his eyes are widely staring hopelessly forward, where he is evidently not taking in the surroundings around him. During this shot, a voiceover is played. The voiceover delivers the line, "It's just a body that I feed and wash." This voiceover is spoken in a dull tone and is lacking intonation and modulation. This infers that the woman is perhaps tired of completing the same tasks every day and getting no response or interaction back from the boy. The monotonous tone in which the voiceover is spoken creates the impression that the woman is used to the state in which the boy is presented to us, in which could possibly provide us with a false sense of security as we feel slightly more at ease that the woman is used to this. The naturalistic lighting which has been used within this shot also reflects the repetition of the daily routine that the woman feels she has to carry out in order to help the boy survive.
Feed and wash and clothe.
Firstly, the mid-shot which captures the mother trying to drown the boy is introduced to us with in combination with the sudden outbreak of intense, loud, sharp, non-diegetic sound effects. This sound effect is sudden and of a loud amplitude. The sound is slightly higher pitched than the other sounds which have previously been played within the first couple of shots in the trailer. This means that the sound effects stand out more and almost captures us by surprise. This sound effect then quickly disappears as we are introduced to the diegetic whimpers of the mother struggling to come to terms with what she is doing. The mid-shot which captures the boy being drowned is a shallow focus shot that shows the mother's arms firmly holding the boy down and the bubbles from the water as the boy is frantically trying to breathe and stay alive. This shot then suddenly cuts to a mid-shot of the woman's facial expressions in reaction to her own actions. From her furrowed eyebrows and tightly shut eyes, combined with the trembling lip, we can see and aware of the distress and discomfort, but also the state of panic that the woman's in. This is the first proper shot where we are introduced to her character, and to see her in such an extreme state that has so quickly escalated from the calm and repetitive approach that she was taking only a few seconds ago is highly disturbing and very intense, creating the intended atmosphere for a thriller film. This is the first time we are properly introduced to her character, and therefore it is almost chilling and unnerving to see her in such a state, making us, as the audience, feel cold and on edge. With both shots in this sequence being shallow focus shots, you are encouraged and almost forced to look directly at the character, and therefore the intensity and chilling atmosphere is built much quicker, which is what the producers want. Furthermore, both of the shots are using naturalistic lighting setup, which instantly means that the fear on the character's face is more believable and convincing due to the fact the surroundings in which the characters are in are highly naturalistic and surroundings that you would expect people to be in every day. The shot which captures the mother waking up from this terrible nightmare she has had about drowning her son is captured using a mid to long shot, which is a deep focus shot. The shot captures the woman frantically waking up from her nightmare, where she has evidently been sleeping on the sofa. A low-key lighting setup was used on capturing the shot, which helps to provide context that the shot was taken at night or during the middle of the night, given that this is when she had the nightmare. This is another really important shot in terms of providing context and wider information into who evidently the main character is within the narrative. During the time where the shot is being displayed, we hear the diegetic sounds of the female's heavily breathing and panting in a fast pace as she is recovering from the shock that has woken her. We can also see from the way in which she is supporting her body with her arms that are placed on the right of the sofa that she is shaken up and in a slight state of distress from the nightmare. The way in which Mary's facial expressions complement the stress she feels through the way in which her eyes are tightly shut together and her jaw is tightly locked help to create a tense and unnerving atmosphere for the audience due to the fact we do not fully understand the narrative in as much detail as required yet.
Hi, Mary.
After the long shot of Mary waking up from the nightmare, we get an extreme long shot, deep focus, of the house that Mary evidently lives in. The house is captured in an extreme long shot, which helps to emphasize the size and the scale of the house. Furthermore, the extreme long shot also shows not only the setting, but enables you to see the fact that it is snowing outside, and therefore this provides you a little bit of context regarding not only the setting, but the time of year and season. This helps to orientate the reader, giving them some knowledge as to wider context of the film. Even by giving the reader something as small as setting or season information can make the audience feel much more familiar with the narrative and the film in general. The extreme long shot, despite showing a house and land covered in snow, still looks gloomy and dull. This is partly due to the slightly grey clouds that are surrounding the house and are therefore part of the extreme long shot. This slightly grey and dull impression that you get from the long shot emphasises the fact that you should never feel safe and secure as an audience member watching a trailer for a thriller film. The sound score which overlaps this shot is a soft piece of music that is of a slow tempo and a high yet comfortable pitch. The music is soft and calming and juxtapositions the bold, intense, diegetic sounds of Mary heavily breathing after the nightmare. The use of both soft and harsh sounds adds emphasis to the harsh sounds when played, giving them more meaning and consequently meaning that they have a better effect.
Hi, Dr. Wilson.
How's Stephen doing?
Same as last week and the week before.
The series of shots that show Mary looking after Stephen are accompanied by a voiceover saying same as last week, same as the week before. The voiceover is delivered in a depressive and reflective tone. The lines are spoken in a soft and gentle tone, yet slightly distressed and fed up manner. Through the concerned expression and tone Mary uses when delivering these lines, you can infer that the state the boy is in, she is used to and very familiar with. Furthermore, from the slight sigh in her voice as she delivers this voiceover, you can suggest that Mary is fed up of not being able to communicate and cherish so many different memories which a mother is lucky enough to cherish with her son in a normal family situation. Therefore, we begin to feel slightly helpless as we can't do anything to either help Mary or to make her son able to carry out everyday activities. We are shown the son's lack of ability to carry out everyday tasks through a montage of shots which explore different activities the mother has to help her son with. The montage includes a diverse range of shots which provide a variety but also show every angle that you look at the boy. Show that from every angle that you look at the boy's life from, he will always need someone there to help and support him in order for him to stay alive. This sequence of shots begin with a mid-shot of Mary opening the curtains of the boy's bedroom. The shot is captured from the outside as we are looking in through the window. The way in which the shot is being set up almost creates the impression that Mary is letting us into her life and the life of her son for the first time, and therefore makes us feel as though we are gaining more narrative information. The mid-shot uses a high-key naturalistic lighting, which once again creates the impression that although the boy can evidently not live a normal life, the mother is doing everything she can in order to provide the most normal, structured life as possible. The next shot in this sequence cuts to a close-up of the boy's face. The shallow focus close-up allows us to pay attention to the mother's hand, which is in the left-hand corner of the lens. This shows her holding the remote control to the bed, giving us more narrative information to the fact the boy cannot complete physical or mental activities by himself. The shallow focus close-up further reveals the idea and concept that the boy does not have an understanding or awareness of what he is doing. This is shown through the lack of facial movement the boy makes as he stares blankly forward without reacting or interacting with what is happening around him. Following this shot, we see a sequence of 3 shots which all cut to different angles and perspectives, showing the mother lifting the boy out of the bed into the wheelchair. The first shot in this sequence is a mid-shot, where we can see from the furrowed eyebrows and the tight grip that the mother is holding her son with to help him out the bed that completing this small activity can be a big challenge. This helps to represent Mary as the protagonist character due to the fact she is helping and saving other characters, and this is suggested by a theorist called Propp, who said, "In every narrative you will find a protagonist character." During this shot we can hear the diegetic heavy sound effects of the mother huffing and puffing at the heavy and strenuous task of lifting the boy out of the bed. We then see a high-angle long shot of the mother placing the boy into the wheelchair. As you can see, the high-angle shot shows the inability the boy has in even moving his own body parts, as his arms remained around his mother even once he has been put in the chair. The high-angle long shot looks directly down onto the 2 characters, which can possibly be representative of how low and inferior both characters feel in this current situation. The mother feels very inferior due to not being able to help and support the boy, and the boy feels inferior as his chance of living an ordinary life has been taken away. In the high-angle shot of the shot, it uses a naturalistic lighting setup, as the key light is coming from the window, bringing the naturalistic daylight into the room. This once again portrays the concept that the mother is trying to provide and create a normal life for her son, even though she knows it isn't possible.
I lost him that day. I lost Richard in the car.
The close-up of the car travelling directly towards the camera is shown over the top of a high-pitched and loud amplitude non-diegetic sound. This sound is intense and overpowering due to the amplitude getting significantly louder. This is when you compare the loud amplitude of this sound to the soft and gentle sound score that was played for the previous section of shots, it makes it much more intense, and as an audience member makes you feel much more on edge. This non-diegetic sound effect therefore grabs your attention and makes you feel slightly startled and shocked by the sudden and unexpected car that is heading straight towards you. This helps you to imagine the fear and shock that the 2 characters in the car must have felt during this accident. The panic, shock and surprise that the sound effects and the camera movement have caused during this sequence will get the audience's hearts racing, making them feel on edge and tense, which is what they want for a thriller film. Furthermore, the diegetic sounds of the shattering glass from the car window screen show the intensity and how serious the crash has been. Therefore, you feel more on edge and cautious, but also have a better understanding of the narrative and are able to start linking the narratives to the characters in a better way.
I lost him that day. I lost Richard in the car.
The close-up of the car travelling directly towards the camera is shown over the top of a high-pitched and loud amplitude non-diegetic sound. This sound is intense and overpowering due to the amplitude getting significantly louder. This is when you compare the loud amplitude of this sound to the soft and gentle sound score that was played for the previous section of shots, it makes it much more intense, and as an audience member makes you feel much more on edge. This non-diegetic sound effect therefore grabs your attention and makes you feel slightly startled and shocked by the sudden and unexpected car that is heading straight towards you. This helps you to imagine the fear and shock that the 2 characters in the car must have felt during this accident. The panic, shock and surprise that the sound effects and the camera movement have caused during this sequence will get the audience's hearts racing, making them feel on edge and tense, which is what they want for a thriller film. Furthermore, the diegetic sounds of the shattering glass from the car window screen show the intensity and how serious the crash has been. Therefore, you feel more on edge and cautious, but also have a better understanding of the narrative and are able to start linking the narratives to the characters in a better way.
Your next patient is waiting for you in the office.
He's dealing with a lot of grief after his mom died.
The mid-shot which captures Tom sitting opposite Mary uses a naturalistic, high-key lighting setup. After having analysed a lot of shots, the high-key lighting setup could be called a consistent lighting setup throughout the earlier stages in the trailer. This helps to make the thriller seem very believable and convincing due to the fact it appears though the naturalistic costume, makeup and lighting choices that the characters live a normal and predictable life. However, this is not the case, which makes it a lot more thrilling. The mid-shot allows us to see the almost unsettling presence that the boy brings, as his facial expressions are stern and unwelcoming as he furrows his eyebrows and looks curiously at Mary. Furthermore, the way in which Tom aggressively and forcefully pushes Mary's hand away makes us feel slightly wary and unsettled by this child. During the moment where Tom pushes Mary's hand away, there is a sharp and unsettling, high-pitched, non-diegetic sound, which is high intensity for the duration of the action and then disappears. This makes us feel as though we are cautious and wary regarding Tom. When linking this to theory, you could link this to the theory of Todorov and the narrative, where within a film there's a point where the equilibrium, so state of peace, is broken, and this shot could potentially provide the start of the equilibrium being broken, given that we can see that this character and boy is not potentially good for the family.
They're moving him to Boston. Is that really necessary? He can just stay here.
It was like I had my little boy back.
During the mid to long shot which captures Mary looking after Tom on the sofa, the voiceover which delivers the line, "It was like I had my little boy back," was played. The voiceover was delivered in a slow pace and reflective tone, however it sounded much happier and more hopeful than when Mary had spoke during the earlier parts of the trailer. This as an audience member makes us feel a little cold and tense due to the fact we know Mary is getting more happiness from another child than her own son. However, we feel slightly cautious and on edge due to the fact we are aware of the abnormal behaviours and characteristics that Tom has presented so far. This shot has also been captured with a low-key lighting setup due to its evidently being later at night, meaning that although it comes across as though they are both just sat in their living room in the evening, there is an eerie and unsettling atmosphere which is emphasised by the dark lighting setup that is used within the room.
Back.
Hi, Mary.
Hi.
How's it all going?
To tell you the truth, I think it'll be good for all of us.
Tom! Tom?
During the sequence of shots that we have just seen where Mary frantically searches for Tom, there is a sequence of fast-paced and short-duration shots. The fast pace and short duration of the shots means the intensity instantly builds and makes the audience feel on edge and very unsettled but also slightly panicked due to the fast-paced nature of this section of the trailer. The variety of differing camera angles and shots that make the scene much more intense and intimidating for the audience member as they have to be more alert and consciously watching all the time to know what is going on. Furthermore, the different types of shots that have been used show Mary's state of panic when she realises Tom has gone missing, creates more panic and distress for the audience due to the fact different types of shots show her panic from different perspectives and points of view, meaning that it comes across more intense and intimidating, which is what people want to see within thrillers. During this sequence, we can we hear and experience a variety of non-diegetic sound effects that cause and mean the tense atmosphere is created through the fast-paced, not just created through the fast-paced shots, but emphasized more due to the sound score that has been placed with the shots. The non-diegetic sound score that has been added with the shots is intense and of a loud amplitude. The sound score includes a variety of echoing sounds that gradually increase and decrease in amplitudes at different points, creating the effect that the sounds are moving. This is very intimidating and also overwhelming due to the fact that echoes are uncertain and unpredictable, meaning that you feel very on edge, but also due to the fact the whole sequence is so fast-paced that you feel as though you can't take your eyes off the screen.
Authorities have stated the missing child could not have survived the severe drop in temperatures.
I feel so guilty.
You cannot blame yourself.
I haven't been sleeping that well.
A close-up is initially used to capture Mary in the bathtub, which then cuts to a mid-shot of her in the bathtub. The close-up of Mary in the bathtub uses a low-key lighting setup. There is also a key light which is coming from the candle by the side of the bath. This lighting setup, where the main lighting source is coming from the candle, gives off and creates a slight eerie and unsettling atmosphere for the audience. This is due to the fact everything seems more intimidating and almost scary in the dark, due to the fact you are unable to see things clearly, and therefore speculations of things that are there can often be something which people experience when it is dark. From the way in which Mary is gripping onto the bathtub with her hands, and the way in which Mary is tensing her body and takes a deep breath in suggests that she is very uncomfortable and tense about the situation she is in. Furthermore, from her slightly dropped jaw and the diegetic sounds of her talking, taking a larger than normal gasp of air, suggests and implies that she is very distressed. This then ultimately makes us as an audience member feel highly distressed and panicked due to the fact we pity and sympathise for Mary, but also are subconsciously worried and distressed ourselves about whatever it is Mary is distressed about. The shot of Mary in the bathtub then cuts to a mid-shot of her in the bath, where she sits up and worriedly looks around. By cutting to a mid-shot of Mary in the bathtub, we are able to now see more regarding her body language, which can tell us a lot of information about how the character feels towards the situation. This mid-shot shows Mary nervously looking up at the bathroom door, which is where the camera was placed. She has wide, staring eyes and a slightly dropped jaw, showing how uncomfortable and slightly nervous she clearly feels towards the situation. The way in which her facial expressions suggest that we should be concerned and alarmed by what is at the bathroom door makes the moment very tense and unsettling for us as an audience. This gets our hearts pounding and keeps us on edge, and the edge of our seats, which is what people want within a thriller. During these two shots, we hear echoes and whispers of voice saying, "Help me." The whispers are delivered in a quiet and almost evil tone, making you, as an audience member, have goosebumps watching the trailer, as you are confused and worried about where these echoes and voices are coming from. This section of shots also shows that the state of equilibrium has been broken, and that the life and situation that Mary is in now is very different to the one at the start of the trailer that she was kind of representing and portraying as monotonous and boring. So therefore, according to Todorov's theory, this is following a narrative convention, given that the state of equilibrium has been broken.
I saw Tom, but everybody's been saying he's dead.
An extreme close-up is used when we see Mary opening the hatch door that she clearly thinks the whispers are coming from. The extreme close-up allows us to see the fine detail of the hatch door, but also takes up a large proportion of the screen, meaning that as an audience member we are forced and encouraged to look directly at the hatch door without knowing what will be in it. This makes us as an audience member feel slightly on edge and uncomfortable due to the fact we are forced to look directly at and into the thing that Mary believes the whispers and voices she can hear are coming from. Furthermore, the low-key lighting setup which has been used within the shot makes the shot seem even more intense due to the fact everything is in close proximity, meaning that as an audience member you feel as though you have to look at the screen and therefore are looking directly into the hatch door. The low-key lighting setup makes it seem as though everything is more tense and unsettling due to the fact you can't see everything as clearly as you would if the lighting had been high-key, meaning that you know you are in a position of vulnerability and yet you can't see everything, which makes it tense and awkward atmosphere rise and build even more. During this shot, a non-diegetic high-pitched scream and yelp is played. This is played in a loud yet not overpowering amplitude, meaning that you can still hear and are still overwhelmed by how high-pitched and uncomfortable the scream is. Therefore, due to being able to distinctively hear the scream, you are put on edge and feel very uncomfortable and unsettled by the atmosphere which has been built and sustained through the later section of this trailer.
Your sleep problems are making it difficult for you to distinguish your nightmares from reality.
No, something is happening. Stephen has scratches on his face.
After this shot is revealed to us, it is almost confirmed that Tom is either not what we first perceived him to be, or something unusual and strange is taking place within Mary's house. This shot is a mid-shot, and as you can see, there is blood-stained finger/handprint left on the door. After the blood-stained handprint is left on the door, we are aware of the fact something is not right, and therefore as an audience member we instantly feel on edge and very tense about the fact we are not in a position of power and also lack the information that Mary lacks about what is going on within her house. This shot is using a low-key lighting setup, once again portraying that it is in the middle of the night where these events keep happening. The key lighting is coming from the candlelight where the candles are being nearly blown out. The darkness and gloomy feel and look which the shot has makes a tense and unsettling atmosphere, especially due to the fact the candles do not work. If the candles do not work and are blown out, then the shot and room would be left in complete darkness. A lot more of the shots in the later section of the trailer are using a low-key lighting setup due to the fact the narrative pace has increased and everything has become significantly more intense. Also, the later part of the trailer, the characters facing the unknown, as Mary is aware of something is not right, however not aware of what the problem is, and therefore the way in which everything is put in the dark makes it seem more intimidating and tense. In this shot we can see the blood handprint on the door. Despite it being a blood handprint, it is still minimalistic and not over the top or dramatic as perhaps a horror film would be in terms of the amount of blood which is used. The subtle amount of blood makes it more chilling and unnerving, as you feel it is more believable and convincing that the blood from the hand is real and the character is in much more danger due to how subtle yet convincing the bloodstain is.
Listen to what you're saying. You're talking about ghosts.
The extreme close-up of the door opening features a low-key lighting setup. The shot is very dark and hardly reveals a clear image. The way in which the shot is so dark that it is almost hard to see what is there makes you as an audience member want to look really closely at the door so that you can catch what is there and do not miss anything, but also makes you want to look away given that it is mysterious and intimidating as the shot is dark and also everything is in such close proximity, meaning that anything that is there will be in your face and overpowering. I think the way in which an extreme close-up has been used almost makes it more intimidating and overpowering for an audience, due to the fact they almost feel as though the camera and shot is intruding and taking over their personal space, meaning that they are slightly on edge and taken back by the fact it is very likely that something is behind the door. During this shot, we hear the diegetic sound effects of the door creaking. These sound effects are played in an abnormally loud amplitude, making you feel very on edge and distressed by the fact the overly loud sound is being played. This makes us, as an audience member, feel on edge, as it makes you feel nervous and in a position of vulnerability due to the fact you are unaware of what is going to happen and why the door is coming across as slightly haunted. This sound effect combined with the close-up makes us as an audience pity and sympathise for the main character, Mary, due to the fact we sympathise with how distressed and panicked Mary must feel in this situation, given that we feel highly concerned just from being an outsider looking in on the situation. I think the use of naturalistic lighting also makes the situation very convincible and believable, due to the fact we feel as though these events are really happening in the middle of the night at Mary's house. However, due to the camera work making the shot seem naturalistic adds to the tension and atmosphere that is created, as we feel as though and believe that this situation is really happening, which evidently makes us feel more on edge and tense when watching the trailer. The extreme close-up of Mary's face when she is in bed is captured using a low-key lighting setup. More shots in the later section of the trailer are using low-key lighting setups due to the darkness works towards helping creating an eerie and very intense atmosphere, which is needed as the narrative gets more complicated and thrilling. The low-key lighting setup helps to orientate us as an audience member as we are informed that these events are happening within the middle of the night. Furthermore, the low-key lighting means that we have to look very closely in order to make out some features of Mary's face. By using a low-key lighting setup, it means as an audience, the audience has to look very closely, and we feel as though we can't take the eyes off the screen in case something happens. But we are also scared to look at the screen due to the fact everything is in such close proximity to us. Furthermore, the use of the close-up means that we can see features of Mary's facial expressions that visually show us how she is feeling towards the situation. From her wide, glaring eyes combined with her furrowed eyebrows and confused and intimidated facial expressions, we can infer that Mary is on edge and feeling the worst, which she has felt for a long time. Furthermore, when this shot shows Tom's hand slowly moving around Mary's mouth to stop her saying anything, we feel taken back and uncomfortable ourselves. The way in which Mary shows the sheer panic and distress through her facial expressions add to the amount of tension we feel as an audience member. During this shot, we initially hear the slow-paced and drowned-out diegetic sounds of Mary heavily breathing and almost panting due to the fear she is experiencing. The slow pace of her breathing adds to the tension, helping to build and work towards creating a dramatic climax. It does this given that the slow pace of her breathing contrasts to the fast and intense pace of the previous scenes that have shown Mary searching for Tom, and will also contrast to the shots and the pace of the shots to come. Furthermore, due to the fact the camera does not move off Mary's face makes us feel like we are nervously waiting for something to happen, but also makes us stare and put all our attention into looking at Mary. When Tom's hand goes over Mary's face so that she can't speak, we hear a sudden outbreak of non-diegetic high-pitched sounds. This sound effect is of a very loud amplitude and is also similar to the sound effects of the car crashing into Mary's son, which we heard earlier on in the trailer. This sound effect is loud and overpowering and comes and goes within a certain short period of time, meaning that it is very intense when it is there.
Something's going on, and it's not just in my head. I can prove it. I'm gonna get you out of here. You have to believe me. It's real.
From the last sequence of shots that have just been shown within the trailer, we see a sequence of shots from different camera angles. However, they all have incredibly low-key lighting, meaning that it is not that easy and clear to make out what is going on. This therefore is effective due to the fact The film trailer is trying to make the audience very curious during the end of the trailer, so much so that they feel as though they have to see the film in order to answer the questions they have. Therefore, the fast-paced shot duration of the shots within the last sequence of shots, as well as the low-key lighting within these shots, creates a tense and unsettling atmosphere, as well as getting audiences' hearts racing and giving them enough information to make them curious and almost desperate to find out what is going on, and if Mary is ill or if something is actually happening. In the sequence, a variety of different shots are used, for example, the long shot of her son in bed, an over-the-shoulder shot of Mary walking to the car window that has been smashed, and a head-on shot as Mary running through the woods towards the camera. The way in which the camera cuts frantically from these shots, which all show different elements of Mary's life from a different angle and create a very frantic and panicked atmosphere due to the fact we all feel and believe the despair and panic that Mary is showing. The way in which we see a variety of shots helps make the sequence of shots feel clattered and scatty, which makes it appear as though Mary is losing control and her mind is making us feel wary of the fact this could be happening, but also of the fact Mary could just be experiencing mental health issues. This is a question which the trailer is evidently not going to answer, meaning that as an audience member we feel almost compelled to watch the film to find out the truth. During these fast-paced and intense shots we hear the voice over being played. The voice-over says, "Something is going on and it's not just in my head." This voiceover is delivered in a panicked and distressed tone where Mary speaks with an unusual amount of intonation and modulation which expresses and shows her inability to control and maintain her emotions. It also represents Mary as being a vulnerable character who is weak and in need of help and support due to the fact we can not only see she is not dealing with the situation very well, but here she is not either. As well as the voiceover, we are introduced to sound score, which is played. The sound score includes a very fast-paced and quick-tempo piece of music, which explores and represents Mary's panic and fear that surround her everyday life. This is fast and intense music further matches the fast-paced and short duration of the shots which are being played over the music, making the end sequence of the trailer reach its climax and the rest of the trailer has been working towards. The climax is very successful due to the fact it gets the audience's hearts racing, making them feel on edge and also makes them feel uncomfortable and nervous, yet willing and excited to know what's going to happen. During the last sequence in the trailer, the shots are broken up by inserts of on-screen text that are placed on the screen. The text which are placed on the screen gives the reader really important information. The first screen of text says, "This fool." This is really important given that it gives the audience important information about when the film is going to be released. It is important that the advertising material tells the reader when the film is going to be released, due to the fact if it does not, then the advertising trailer is almost a waste, because if they liked the film and want to see it but don't know when it is released, they will not be able to watch it or find out. Therefore, although it may seem as though those inserts of text break up the tension, they are vital in providing some key admin information that the audience need to receive about the film.